The meeting's the 1:30.
Great. All right, so we are joined by Jesse Olzak, representing the Director of the Budget, Chris Curtis, representing the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance. I don't believe we have David Gonzalez yet. Okay. And both Jesse and Chris are participating via video conference from the Division of the Budget's Conference Center at the Capitol Building, room 131 in Albany. We have Hope Young-Watkins and Andrew Sanfilippo joining us via video conference from HCR's office in Buffalo at Electrical Tower 535 Washington Street, Suite 105. In accordance with the Open Meetings Law, notice of our locations has been made public, and the public has the right to attend and observe the proceedings from these locations. We'll now do a roll call for each of the meetings and use these votes as items are considered unless a board member indicates an intent to vote differently or a need to recuse. To begin, to open the meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency and the Affordable Housing, and the just the HFA board at this meeting. I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting. So moved. Second.
Second.
I'll now ask for individual votes from the members of the HFA board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Visnauskas.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
Aye.
Mr. Curtis.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Ms. McEwen.
Aye.
Ms. Miller.
Aye.
Ms. Young-Watkins.
Aye.
Thank you. To open the meeting of the HFA Finance and Program Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
And to open the meetings of the HFA Audit Committee and the HFA Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Second. The meetings are for the individual votes of each committee member. We will accept the previous votes, and the meetings HFA are now open. To open the meeting of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second. Now ask for individual votes from the members of the SONYMA board, starting with our newly appointed chairman, Weiss.
Aye.
Commissioner Visnauskas.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
Aye.
We don't have Mr. Freeman or Professor Ford or Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Campbell.
I got to think about it.
Fair enough. And Ms. Miller.
Aye.
To open the meeting of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And to open the meeting of the SONYMA Audit Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the
So
meeting.
moved.
Second. To open the meeting of the SONYMA Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting.
So move.
For individual votes of each committee member, we will accept the previous votes. The SONYMA meetings are officially open. And finally, to open the meetings of the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I'll now ask for individual votes from each member of the MBBA board and the TSFC board, starting with Chairman Weiss.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
Aye.
And we don't have Mr. Gonzalez this time. Ms. Miller
Think about it.
I'm here.
Aye.
and Mr. Sanfilippo.
Aye.
Mr.
you.
Gonzalez has joined us. Just
Oh, great. Thank you.
Come on.
Mr. Gonzalez, can I get your vote for the MBBA board and the TSFC board?
Yes, aye.
Okay, thank you. To ask for motions and second, to open the meetings of the MBBA Audit Committee and the TSFC Audit Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order, consider each agenda item, and later adjourn the meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Second. To open the meetings of the MBBA Governance Committee and the TSFC Governance Committee, I ask for motions and seconds to call to order. Second. For the individual votes of each committee member, we accept the previous votes, and all the meetings are now officially open.
Great, thanks. So next item is the report of the Commissioner and CEO, and I'll turn things over to Commissioner Visnauskas.
Thank you. Obviously, top of the news is it has been a funny year to be chairless, I guess we were, on SONYMA. So thank you for agreeing to be appointed. I'm very happy that it happened. And now we have a full complement. In addition, as folks have seen, to Steve Weiss being added to the board and be made the chair, we also have another board member, Christy Keel, who's the executive director of the Center for New York City Neighborhoods, a longtime advocate for affordable homeowners, affordable homeownership, eviction prevention, foreclosure prevention. She's going to join us for the July meeting, as it happens very quickly that people get appointed and can't always make it. So she's not here today, but she's very excited to be joining us in July. So that's exciting. Happy to have you here. We are also in addition to things that the legislature is doing, in addition to appointing people to boards, we also have a couple of bills that are important to us that are in the process of being passed, which we're excited about. So the two that I'll just talk about is our bond extender, which covers SONYMA and HFA, is extended both in time. So from our ability to issue bonds from July 2025 to July 2027. And then the cap, the legislature and our sort of statute caps the amount of bonds we can issue. We're going to go from 1.95 billion to 2.4 billion, which is what we think will cover us for that time frame. It also extends certain statutory authorizations, not just of us, but also of HDC. So they're very happy to get their extensions also. And the second is for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. We have been asking for a little while, and this year I think are going to get passed a maximum on the cap that HFC can provide. It's currently for our grants and loans is $125,000 a unit. It's going to go to $250,000 a unit. The $125,000 was set in 2008 and not been revised since. So it is well needed, given that land costs and construction costs and everything has driven up the cost of affordable housing. So we're very excited to have that additional flexibility. There's a couple other things in motion. We'll see what sort of ends up passing. I was going to, I think last month and maybe the month before, I've talked a lot about budget and I've talked a lot about the federal, what's going at the federal level, none of which is great. I'm going to skip that for this month and I'll come back to it next month because we will know a little more after the July 4th holiday with what's going on at the federal level. And I was just going to talk about events. It's been very busy in a good way. We have been, many of us here have been sort of hopping around the state. It was at Troy where we did a ribbon cutting for a housing authority renovation project. Hope went to two of our events in Buffalo. There's a ribbon cutting for Mount Olive Senior Apartments, which Lenny Skrill and Hope attended. And then yesterday I was in Buffalo at the reopening of Ellicott Town Center, which is a existing rental building with a big sort of senior component that was renovated, and Hope was at the ribbon cutting for that as well, which was great. We did a all senior ribbon cutting for a project up in the Bronx 2 weeks ago. Last week I was up in Albany. We did a new construction project for vets along with Soldier On, which is this, I think they work in multiple states in the Northeast, great nonprofit that focuses on homeless vets. It's a very moving and touching event. Not only did they, build a building and it has supportive housing and units for vets, but they put in a, I'm going to forget the word for it, but I think it's called a calendarium. But they put in the building a place where the vets who live there can sort of be like interred and like have a, which is not something I had ever seen in a project we did. It was like so meaningful, and we went and like laid a wreath at that sort of stone thing that they installed at the project. It was great. There's an event tomorrow in Schenectady, one in the Southern Tier next week. It's a very obviously busy time because the weather is nice to be out and about doing this. But as I sort of always say at the events, we go not really to pat ourselves on the back, but both to thank everybody, because it takes an enormous amount of work, as you all know, and you see, for things just to get to sort of shovel in the ground and then to get to completion and then to get to lease up. And we spend a lot of our focus here on units and numbers and tracking and making sure we are on schedule. But really, when we go to those events, the best part is obviously the people who share their story, that get to live there, because our story of our housing plan really want to be the stories of everybody who gets to live in the buildings, either come back into or move into for the first time. So it is amazing to be able to go and hear people talk about what a difference it has made for them, or their ability to stay stably housed, to reconnect with family, to get back on their feet, whatever sort of the version of it is. It's always a little bit of a tearjerker. So so it's nice for me, and I love sort of the June season of running around, getting to sort of rejuvenate in that work. All right, so let's get to the agenda. We got a lot of stuff on here.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Steve.
Ruth Ann. All right, next item 2 is a consent item, approval of the prior meetings minutes, which will be deemed approved absent any corrections or objections. Item 3 is a discussion item, approval of the independent auditor contracts with Ernst & Young, and we'll have a presentation by Sonia Kinkle, Vice President and Controller. Sonia?
Morning.
Morning, how are you?
Morning.
So we are bringing today for your approval, the independent auditor contract selection. Pursuant to the agency's guidelines in section 2879 of the Public Authorities Law, the members and directors must approve all procurement contracts that exceed 1 year in duration or $100,000 in amount. Under the respective charters of the agency's audit committees, the members and directors of such audit committees are charged with, among other things, the selection, retention, and termination of the agency's external or independent auditors. The independent auditor contract with each of the agencies and Ernst & Young is being submitted to the audit committees for review and approval. If the contracts with EY are approved, the contracts will be presented to the members and directors of the respective agencies with the committee's recommendation for approval. Okay, so the agency's current auditor is Ernst & Young, and the contractual relationship between our agency and Ernst & Young began in 2010. We issued an RFP on February 12th, 2025, and this is for the selection of the independent auditor for our financial services and other related services, like our bond deals. Unlike previous RFP processes for the internal independent auditor, this was not limited to the Big Four. We opened up the pool to other submissions. Okay. And to reach the greatest number of interested firms, the RFP was posted on the agency's website. On a notice of advertisement was posted in the New York State Contract Reporter. And email notifications of RFPs were sent to the incumbent, EY, 12 firms on the bidders list of the agencies, 32 MBE firms, 18 WBEs, and 3 SDVOBs. Responses were due March 19th of this year. The agencies received responses from Clifton Larson Allen, Ernst & Young, and Lumsden and McCormick LLP. None of these proposers are MWBE or SDVOB firms. Proposals included the submission of a proposed audit contract fee structure schedule for 10 years, that's in the board materials, with the fee for the first 3 years remaining the same for the audit engagement. You can read more about that in the board materials. Okay. After the review committee evaluated the written proposals, we met to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of each proposal and scored each proposal. The Ernst & Young proposal was the highest ranking proposal. We determined that the Lumsden proposal did not include the breadth of experience required for the audits of our agencies. While both Clifton and Ernst & Young ranked close, Ernst & Young's submission was the strongest proposal, and their experience in housing audits far exceeded the others combined. Ernst & Young is committed to meeting the MWBE and SDVOB participation goals, and will be working with Mitchell & Titus, which is an MBE, Susan Rich, LIFMS, which is a WBE, and RJ Williams Group, an SDVOB. They will be working with those firms to meet those goals. It is respectfully requested that the audit committees approve the continued retention of Ernst & Young to act in the capacity of the agency's independent auditor for a 5-year period with 2 optional 2-year renewals and 1 optional 1-year renewal. Each optional renewal subject to approval by the respective agency's audit committee members and the respective agency's members or directors. Questions or comments?
Questions, comments? Well,
Okay, this is before the audit committees and the full boards for HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. I'm assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolutions are adopted.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4 is a discussion item, Fulton Park Plaza rehabilitation financing, City of New York, Kings County. And the presentation this morning will be by Russell Ubley, Vice President, Multifamily Finance and Development, and Michael Friedman, Senior Vice President of the Mortgage Insurance. Good morning.
I'm a lefty. It's better. Shall I begin? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got the longer one. Fulton Park Plaza. This is the rehab portion, phase 2, we're calling it. Fulton Park, as a reminder, if you weren't here last month, my presentation, it's a 286 unit state supervised Mitchell-Lama rental high-rise in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. It is among our Office of Housing Preservation's high priorities in terms of capital needs work, preserving affordability under the Mitchell-Lama program, and frankly, wrestling the property from what has been a somewhat problematic ownership previously, whose tenure since 2015 has overseen deteriorating conditions at the building. Losing an asset such as Fulton Park to market rate housing in a gentrifying neighborhood is a situation we are hoping to avoid. Last month, on May 16th, the HFA members approved financing for the acquisition of the property to the borrower, 1711 Fulton Redevelopment LLC, whose managing members are Darren Smith and Tim Henze. They are purchasing the beneficial interest in the current nominee, Vertices Holding LLC, who is the seller. The acquisition financing is now scheduled to close next Tuesday. Was necessary to proceed first. That's why we went last month for that approval, because the expiration of the purchase and sale agreement on the property is June 30th. So it was very important for us to get that approval in before the end of the month so we can close on the acquisition. It's a hard deadline. The necessary approvals for the second phase rehabilitation financing, which is why I'm here today, which involves the issuance of tax-exempt bonds, is now in place in subsidy, and we anticipate the closing for this financing to occur in our July bond open reso round. Just to note, there's a typo in the funding recommendation where it says the HFA subsidy is being requested for acquisition. It's actually for rehab financing, not the acquisition. That was just a carryover from last month. Smith Henze, the borrower and new owner, is a longstanding partner to the agency. They're particularly notable for their willingness to take on some of our most difficult, distressed projects for preservation rehab financing, including Town and Country in Binghamton last year, and 2 years ago, 753 Classen Avenue in Brooklyn, which is another Mitchell-Lama. Smith Henze invests their own resources in putting a team together, investing both financially and in terms of sweat equity, putting together team and financial partners and working with the agency to come up with sustainable solutions to some of our most difficult properties. Fulton Park was originally built in 1974 by the Jackie Robinson Construction Company, as we discovered. By virtue of this historical significance associated with Jackie Robinson's construction company, and by the way, he was a proponent of the creation of affordable housing in low-income neighborhoods such as Brooklyn and the Bronx after his baseball career had ended. The project is actually qualifying for federal and state historic tax credits as a result of the significance, which is going to generate about $26.7 million in equity to the project. And that's above the $26 million that it'll be receiving from our state low-income housing tax credit program. And as I mentioned earlier, Fulton Park has suffered in recent years from worsening conditions, deferred maintenance, deterioration of its major systems. The amount of renovation needed is substantial. It offers the project an opportunity to utilize some energy efficiency measures as well. That'll help to lower costs in the long run and preserve the building over time. Some of the major work that needs to be done involves over $8.5 million in asbestos remediation, $10.2 million in upgrades to the heating, ventilation, and cooling systems, converting the inefficient baseboard electric heating to highly efficient EPOCA units, along with the conversion of the domestic hot water system to an electric system, heat pumps, all electric stoves, and new efficient lighting. The associated rewiring and upgrade to the electrical system to accommodate the repairs and upgrades, approximately $8.3 million. The plumbing system requires an overhaul. That cost is approximately $7.8 million. Outside exterior facade and masonry work to the building is approximately $4.2 million. Roof replacement, thermal protection is another $5.5 million. This also includes preparation for solar. Other items include elevator replacement and then your typical rehabilitation for existing buildings, doors, windows, site improvements, finishes, painting, that kind of thing. The costs of the rehabilitation are very much in line with what we've seen on other Mitchell-Lama projects. We financed the Classen Avenue project that I just mentioned. Did not have asbestos issues, so if you remove that from the scope, you pretty much have the same exact cost and scope that we're seeing here at Fulton, $290K per unit. When you add the asbestos remediation, which is substantial, it bumps it up to $320K per unit. The development team and their contractor, MDG, have demonstrated experience in this type of substantial rehabilitation. MDG was the contractor on the internal work on the Classen building, and they've done very successful work on thousands of NYCHA units around the city over the past few years. For the residents at Fulton Park Plaza, they're primarily low income. Most are under 50% AMI. About 210 of the 284 residential units have tenants who have Section 8 tenant protection vouchers for rental assistance, and about 74 units have tenants who do not have rental assistance, but they pay their rents based on the Mitchell-Lama regulations, no more than 30% of their monthly income. A phased-in budget-based rent increase over 2 years at 3% per year has been approved by DHCR to help offset some of the increased operational costs. But the primary driver for revenue to the project is through the Section 8 assisted rents and the commercial revenue, as the project has 7 commercial tenants, 6 of which occupy a separate one-story building on the property. 1 commercial tenant's located in the first floor of the residential building. As we do not use tax-exempt bond volume cap and 4% credits on preservation financing as a policy, we reserve that limited resource to our new construction priorities. Instead, Fulton Park will benefit from a combination of subsidy and our tax-exempt recycled bonds. Recycled bonds are previously issued volume cap that we recycle with the redeeming of our short-term bonds on projects that reach completion and conversion. And then we pair them up with our state low-income housing tax credits in lieu of the 4% federal credits. As an aside, if you may be aware, the state budget recently passed an increase of our allocation of state tax credits to $30 million a year. It's extremely useful as a financing tool for preservation, especially for affordable housing. And lastly, the project will expect to meet our state's minority, women, and disabled veteran business goals for New York City, which in aggregate is 38% of the agency's permanent financing that's going into the project. Thank you.
Thanks, Russell. Michael?
Of the project's 286 units, all but 64 are 2, 3, or 4-bedroom units. The insured loan amount is $80,420 per unit, which equals 10.4% of the project total development cost of $774,500 per unit. The project will break even with a 15% pro forma vacancy and collection loss, or a 19% increase in pro forma operating expenses, and operates with a 1.03 pro forma income to expense ratio with all of the commercial space vacant. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, I have a question. How much, I know there are budget resources specifically for Mitchell-Lama as well, that you're not planning on substituting and using any, are those available at this point, or?
Our Mitchell-Lama subsidy program,
Yeah.
we have some funding going into that, yeah.
Okay. Second of all, like, I guess this was acquired 10 years ago, and obviously this is a pretty substantial rehab considering its acquisition 10 years ago. What was the condition when it was acquired 10 years ago?
It was probably not as bad. I would say there has not been any work done in those 10 years.
Okay.
The seller has not been very, I would say, cooperative in terms of getting people access into the building. Like the asbestos thing was sort of a new development. We didn't realize the extent of the damage with the asbestos remediation. So partly why the acquisition has to happen is for us to be able to get into the building and kind of fully scope out. A lot of this is sort of contingent.
No, obviously there's been some recent press around the Mitchell-Lama portfolio and things like that, and just curious about sort of, obviously MDG is perhaps a different sort of, you know, developer obviously than the owner that's currently been, but is there sort of, especially on these types of projects, like ongoing checks on the management of buildings on these upkeeps? Because obviously it's a snowball effect when it comes to costs of, stuff deteriorates, water leaks, mold, and accumulates, and it just gets exponentially more expensive. We've seen that in a lot of properties. Like, how are we thinking about, maybe not with this property perhaps, but other ways of
Sorry, I'm talking about like asset management.
the asset management around the Mitchell-Lama? Obviously, that's been a high-profile issue in the news recently, so.
I was going to say, I'm not going to speak for OHP, but I think it's probably what they spend most of their time and sweat on.
So, yes, so I would just say, we do a bunch of things on the Mitchell-Lama program. I'm happy to go into more detail if anyone wants like a Mitchell-Lama 101, but we do annual site visits, as you know. Sometimes we do much more regular site visits depending on what's happening at the property. We review their financial statements. They have to report their vacancies to us every month. So we are very much tuned to what's happening in the buildings. This is a unique situation that, as Russell has alluded to, the existing owner was not super engaged or interested, and so we spent, this has been a long time coming, and Russell's team has been incredibly diligent and patient with pushing, with trying to find a way to get this building into the right hands. I would say there had been other options offered that were not acceptable to the agency. There are other things that fell through. It has been a very, very long and not super easy road. So we feel good about this new owner and his track record with the agency. And that is just something we're trying to do in general now, is have a harder line on who we allow into the portfolio. They don't necessarily have to have experience in Mitchell-Lama, but they have to be an affordable owner with experience and a commitment, and we don't just sign off anymore on anyone who wants to buy one of these. It's because it just gets us in these situations.
One more question. Are there additional resources that you need, for example, around asset management and supporting this? Because obviously it's like, when it pops up, it's like bad. And so ways to sort of, spend money on preventative medicine in some respects with regard to that too.
So I'm happy to say, so during, just like many areas, but it particularly hit this team hard, we had a lot of retirements. I had many years of experience walk out the door. We have been hiring up and are hiring a few more people now. We can't just like hire 20 people all at once, because like you got to absorb them, and this is very idiosyncratic program, so they really need to learn it. But we have been steadily hiring back up after that, so it is something that I spend a lot of time on, trying to get that team back going.
Maybe another $1 billion in Mitchell-Lama subsidy might be helpful.
There you go.
See what you can do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way, James, MDG is not part of the ownership structure. They're just serving as the general contractor.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
Andy's team is going to be the.
Fair enough. Okay.
Andy, did you have a question?
They couldn't hear.
We couldn't hear.
Oh, got it.
Okay,
Okay.
if people could speak louder, that'd be better. No question.
Okay, Andy, can you hear me now? Because I don't know if I can get closer to the microphone.
Yeah, we can hear you better.
Okay.
Okay, Joyce, did you have a question?
No, it was just a concern about the oversight that we're doing on Mitchell-Lamas and why this happened.
Okay, anything else?
So I assume that our standards for ownership have changed since 2015.
Yes. That is putting it lightly. And look, to find an owner who is willing to take on a large old building and has capacity to do everything right, it's a specific skill set and someone with thick skin, and there aren't that many folks who are willing to do it and do it in the way that we think the residents deserve. And so it is challenging, but is what we are doing. It slows things down, but we have been, especially over, I would say, like the last 6 years, sort of digging in our heels and saying, like, we're just not approving it like everyone anymore. Like, it's got to be someone who has a commitment and a willingness to take this on in a way that benefits the residents.
I think the Class and Avenue building that I mentioned is a good example where it was 2 years ago, sort of probably nearing completion, but I think you could look at that as a very good example,
Yeah.
sort of the direction that things are going in now.
Okay, one thing that concerns me about this rehab is that it doesn't include electrical rewiring.
It does.
It does.
It does, because it's not listed here.
Yeah, it's about 8.2 million in the scope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Okay, just note for the record, both that we've been joined by Mr. Freeman and Professor Ford on the SONYMA board, and also the chairman has recused himself from these votes. This is before the HFA Finance and Program Committee, the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, and the HFA and SONYMA boards. Resolutions transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolutions are adopted.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. And next item 5, Meadowbrook Apartments, Town of Newfane, Niagara County. Russell, you're up again. Can we do the 5 and 6 together? Because it occurs to us.
They're essentially similar, so I can present them
Do them together, yeah. Either.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is just an HFA item. It doesn't have any mortgage insurance through SONYMA. Meadowbrook Apartments first, item 5, and the following item 6, Walden Park Apartments. These are both properties in Niagara County. They were built in the late 1970s under the Section 515 federal program. Provides mortgage loans to the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Development Housing and Community Facilities Program for affordable rental housing for very low, and moderate income families, elderly persons, and persons with disabilities. In the latest New York State budget, an additional $20 million was allocated to our agency's own subsidy program for USDA 515 properties. This is a state-funded subsidy program that supplements these Section 515 properties with new funding to help with capital needs. So that's why I'm here today. It's a way for us to help address the capital needs of these relatively smaller rural area properties where otherwise HFA typically deals with larger scale affordable housing needs through our bond financing and more of our robust subsidy programs. So this is a way to kind of get to some of these properties that otherwise may have been overlooked. Meadowbrook Apartments here was built in 1978. It serves households with incomes at or below 60% AMI through the USDA 515 program. Like much of that housing stock financed through this program, Meadowbrook is aging. Repairs are needed to extend the useful life. Through this transaction, the project sponsor will also be refinancing their existing USDA 515 loan. It's located in the town of Newfane in Niagara County. It's a small town on the eastern end of the county. It's about 7 miles inland from Lake Ontario. The property consists of 3 buildings, each about 8 units. 21 units are supported by rental assistance through the USDA program. It's similar to project-based Section 8, but it's through USDA. So that provides rental assistance for tenants who couldn't otherwise, make full rental payments on behalf of their on their low income. 3 of the units are households are not supported by the rental assistance, but they're tenants at or below 60% AMI. And then as part of the scope of work, the project is going to construct an additional building with 2 units for ADA compliance to bring the project up to current accessibility standards. The project will also qualify for some clean energy initiative funding, which will be requested at the June 26th board with HTFC. The project will be converted to an all-electric for heating, cooling, and domestic hot water, meeting the Enterprise Green Communities criteria. It'll also feature Energy Star appliances, light fixtures, replacement of windows and doors, upgraded electrical wiring services, and thermostat systems. Meadowbrook and the following project, Walden Park, are both to be owned by the Niagara County ODS LLC. That's ODS Management. They're the current manager of both properties, and they'll be taking over as the full owner. ODS manages several of these USDA properties in Western New York. They've done a decent job with limited resources, and again, the housing stock was built in the 70s and is in need of capital needs. In addition to the HFA subsidy that we're providing, the project will also be receiving a bit of state low-income housing tax credits invested through Redstone, as well as additional USDA funding and construction financing from the Bonneville Bank. And then lastly, for Meadowbrook, I'd like to note that the developer consultant Development Advisors, that's Monica McCullough and her team, and the architect in X Architecture are both New York State certified women-owned businesses. And then for Walden Park, I'll just highlight some of the distinctions between Walden Park and Meadowbrook. It's essentially the same financing, same structure. It's located in the city of Lockport, which is about 10 miles south of Newfane, where Meadowbrook is. Walden Park is for seniors. It was built in 1979 for seniors age 62 and older. The property includes 5 one-story buildings, each containing 12 units for a total of 60. 57 of the units are supported by the USDA rental assistance, and then the qualified household income limit for the project is at or below 60% AMI. Like Meadowbrook, Walden will qualify for Clean Energy Initiative funding for measures such as Energy Star appliances, light fixtures, replacement of the exterior insulation, roof replacement. And again, Walden will include the same development team as Meadowbrook. Again, both the developer, consultant, and the architect are certified women-owned businesses for New York State. Thanks.
I just have a question. I know up in this part of the state, getting electricity to sites sometimes, when we're increasing capacity, when we're electrifying a project has been difficult. So are they adding solar? And if so, can they get storage? I'm concerned, I think there's a
This one
general
has solar.
concern that there's not,
Yeah.
the grid can't necessarily handle all the electric at this point.
Niagara County is an exception because of the Wonderful Falls.
It comes from the water.
Yeah,
Okay, so they
yeah.
get the hydro.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Canada cuts it off.
Well, there is that, right? No, it's just a general concern, and I've heard it from people at NYSERDA also, that as we transition, to the extent that the state is behind in cleaning the grid because of all the federal changes at the federal level, that we have to be very thoughtful and balanced about the transition and make sure that while we're preparing for electric through a greater efficiency, and if we can get solar on site. So it's
It's
just
top of mind, especially with the projects we're doing in Buffalo. I think that's Erie County, where National Grid has been
Yes.
increasingly more and more involved in our communication with getting that up. But yeah, it's definitely top of mind.
great. Thank you.
This project is listed as site source solar. So it has solar on property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to Sadie's point, I think it's the good money after bad question. If you're going to be upgrading, like, I think, I forget the name of the project where we put in the substation for like $8 million or whatever the answer was, whether or not like that cost can be reduced through storage, as Sadie alluded to, and especially thinking about, I think, 30% of the electricity we actually produce, we use because we're producing it at the wrong times. And so thinking about ways to sort of benefit our projects, given the investment that we're already making.
Okay, I think we're going to consider both item 5 and 6 at the same time. These are both before the HFA board solely, and the chairman is recusing himself.
Sorry, I mean that.
Votes.
Sorry.
So now before the HFA boards are resolutions transmitted in connection with items 5 and 6. Assuming the motion second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Great, thanks, Russell.
Thank you.
Item 7, as a discussion item, Greater Rochester Housing Partnership, block by block 1, City of Rochester, Monroe County, and the presentation will be from Madeline Fletcher, Vice President, Small and Mid-Sized Development. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Usually Madeline's in the Albany screen, so it's good to see you in
My
person.
big JF.
They should have seen the Statue of Liberty while you're here.
I entered an Empire State Building. Great. So we have 2 home ownership projects today. So the first one is an application from the Greater Rochester Housing Partnership. They've applied for just under $2 million in block-by-block funding for 10 home ownership units. This funding will be available at the time each home is sold, so it'll just be permanent financing. During construction, GRHP will self-finance. They're also a CDFI. This is exciting. It's our first block-by-block program project that's under review by the board. Block-by-block, just a quick summary, is a new program. It was established in the 2025 budget. $40 million was allocated and then was just refunded in the most recent budget for another $30 million. It offers a deeper subsidy than our AHUP program for 1 and 2 family infill projects in priority cities of Albany, Binghamton, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. In exchange for the deeper subsidy, the homes are also going to be affordable at a deeper level to households up to 60% AMI. We allow for a little bit of marketing, a little marketing band, but really trying to reach the deeper affordability in these communities. This project is in the Bull's Head neighborhood and will be Greater Rochester Housing Partnership's second project that we're doing with them on homeownership, and also as part of the City of Rochester's broad effort to rebuild homeownership opportunities in sort of transitional neighborhoods. This program is called Buy the Block, so it's almost exactly the same. It has been very challenging to write these memos and keep it straight. But this is a kind of exciting thing. The Buy the Block initiative is like a coordinated effort at the City of Rochester. They're sort of making lots available in these focused areas. They're investing other resources, ARPA funds, stuff like that. And it's trying to, while, you know, the home prices in Rochester have really skyrocketed in a lot of neighborhoods. There's really no opportunity to buy sort of a move-in ready home. They're just sort of been stagnating. So they're trying to sort of reinvigorate some of these neighborhoods by creating these homeownership units that are move-in ready. And so we've done 2 projects so far, one with Greater Rochester Housing Partnership through this Buy the Block effort with AHOP, one project with the Housing Partnership, the other with Habitat for Humanity. Demand was super, super strong. We're super excited. The City of Rochester is super excited. And so while our Block by Block program and ARPA seek this lower affordability at 60% AMI, we're able to go even a little further in terms of affordability on this project for these 10 homes. Prices will range from $99,000 to $155,000. We're really trying to offer a discount to market in the neighborhood as well as sort of deeper affordability. We anticipate meeting any of the MWBE and SDVOB goals that were set. And as we're gearing up to sell the Housing Partnership's first batch of homes that they've completed, we're super excited to recommend this one.
How much of a discount do you?
So overall, it's very significant, right? It's something like 40% for sort of the median in the city. More locally, there's not a ton of availability in terms of like a move-in ready home, but we think it's still about like 15 to 20%. There are homes that are on the market in that neighborhood that are sort of around 150, 175,000. So on the higher end with the bigger homes, it's not a big discount to market, but on the lower end, it's pretty significant.
Is there demand that exceeds the supply for these units?
So far as we're seeing, yes, right? It's a little bit of a funny construct because there's so little availability in the neighborhood that we're almost sort of like rebuilding and creating a market. But so far, because we've done a couple of projects now, they've been totally oversubscribed in terms of interest. Habitat, who we're also partnering with on these sort of neighborhood projects, has a long list of people who are interested. GRHP similarly, lots of folks who are interested.
How do you choose? I mean, if there's demand that exceeds supply, are there criteria for selection?
So we're not doing a lottery because preparing, getting your mortgage, putting all the pieces together to buy a home it's time sensitive and all those things, but every project submits a narrative marketing plan about how they're going to do outreach, and then we're also working with FIHO on a long form plan. So they're establishing not necessarily lottery, but intake processes and sort of when someone sort of gets matched with a house and that kind of thing. So we're sort of working through that.
Is there also like homeownership training for the buyers?
Yes. Yeah, so every project has a partner, or in some cases they do it themselves if they're like a nonprofit home counseling agency, but every homeowner is going to go through HUD counseling and all that stuff, which I think is important for planning for homeownership, budgeting for future repairs, all that kind of stuff. So we're really trying to make people set up for success.
Well, and here, right, the Greater Rochester Housing Partnerships obviously is like bread and butter is doing homeownership counseling and training, and they have a marketing agent in addition to that?
No, so they're putting a marketing plan together, but I don't think they're.
This one says Ibero. I'm sorry, I'll just feed you the answer.
Oh yes, they're.
This one says Ibero. I'm trying to set you up, Madeline.
Yes, this one is partnering with a local organization, and they sort of help get the word out, do outreach, that kind of thing.
Who's the lender?
So.
These must be rich CRA loans for local banks. Is that for the end loans?
It is, I don't know who every home and loan is here, but yeah, so I mean, even ESL is like contributing, is making a film, not I think in this one, but in a couple of other projects.
Don't have trouble getting in loans either.
No, we're having no problem so far. I think GRHP, again, they're in the business of this, so they're able to connect lenders locally. So far that's been pretty smooth.
How's the economic development in the area?
In terms of,
Because if
Like-
there's a high demand and then we're doing the investment and everything there, the individuals who are living there, are they going to be able to really afford the housing itself? And then two, is it more of a commercial area? Or are they expanding to provide them with jobs to be able to afford the new homes and renovations?
So, I mean, this is all in the city of Rochester. I would say overall they're doing a pretty good job of trying to, make smart investments and everything. These are, sort of residential neighborhoods. We're doing infill in neighborhoods where there's been a lot of demolition, sort of, rebuilding the street wall. I think in that way, they're just sort of putting back what's there. A lot of the people buying are people who are long-term residents of the neighborhood, renters becoming homeowners. And so I would say in terms of economic development, these folks are coming, to the table, able to get mortgages and that kind of thing. So they're definitely already sort of woven into the fabric of the existing sort of,
Can I ask a question about the affordability piece, Madeline? You said that you said the homes right now are ranging, I thought I heard you say 89 to 155. Is it 89 or is it 99?
99.
99. And then
yeah.
the affordability period for the block by block, is it 30 or 20 years obligation?
30
30
years.
for all of them.
That's right. Yeah, it seemed really, it was a sort of a priority here to build in that sort of long term. So as homes turn over, they're still affordable.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I guess about a week ago, the city of Rochester released an RFP around modular construction
Saw that.
pilot for
Yeah.
these types of homes. In fact, looking at the stock, it looked very similar to the drawings that were being done on here. Is this being coordinated with that? And I know obviously there's like 50 million in the budget for this type of thinking, and just sort of thinking like, it seems like there's a lot of things that are moving in the same direction. And so just on coordination level would be interesting. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
So
I just saw that
yes,
RFP.
I happened upon that. Like we hadn't had any notices of that or anything. So that was sort of interesting that they're, sort of looking in that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, I think ultimately these are stick built.
Okay.
But I think hopefully the direction, again, I think aesthetically very similar. And so hopefully what happens is we see movement toward modular because, it's not huge dollar savings. It seems like 17 to 20% though, something like that in the last sort of pass we got, which is significant, right? And then also in time, right? It saves a bit of time.
Especially if you do economy scale. But I think what's really interesting about Rochester with the way that they're approaching this is that, to your point on economic development, all this stuff, it's a very coordinated team that is working on this RFP from everyone from zoning to housing to economic development. And so I think it's really interesting how Rochester's approaching it. So I'm glad we're supporting Rochester and these programs are great. Holistically, yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice to work with them too because we're able to like communicate with the city and they're sort of making it very straightforward to kind of do all these things and they're investing dollars, which is also necessary until we crack the code on making it really inexpensive. So
Great, thanks.
thank you.
These, so we're doing both 7
Should I
and
do
8.
them? Should
Should
we go right into it?
Put them together.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, very similar. This is also a by the block project, which is the city of Rochester's effort, but not block by block. It is an AHOP project. So this is for 8 homes. We're going to figure out how to name these better so we don't get so confused. But this is a Habitat for Humanity of Greater Rochester project requesting $1.6 million in AHOP funds, Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program, for 8 new single-family homes. This is, again, part of that coordinated effort, so it's also in the Bull's Head neighborhood. This will be Habitat's second project, also as sort of this by the block effort. They were the first to finish an AHOP and sell all the homes, so that was super exciting. They just finished selling the homes in the spring, and again, no problem finding buyers. They're working with lots of families in the city of Rochester, and that's going pretty well. The AHOP program, does allow affordability up to 80% AMI at the subsidy level, but again, they're trying to provide a really competitively priced project. They want to be flexible and allowed to accommodate people at lower affordability. So these prices will be just around 60% AMI affordability. They're also receiving ARPA dollars, which has more restrictions on homebuyer incomes as well. Again, this will be the second AHOP. They also have a block by block in the pipeline. So we're excited for this one as well, and happy to keep it all going.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, this is, so we're considering both items 7 and 8, both before the HFA board. Resolution transmitted in connection with these items. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Madeline.
Thanks, Madeline. All right, we're skipping item 9 on the agenda, moving to item 10, the Monroe subsidy increase, City of Buffalo, Erie County, and the presentation, Burt Blackman, Director of Distressed Asset Initiatives.
Morning, everyone.
Morning,
Reporting
sir.
in from Albany this morning.
Morning.
So this is a request for a subsidy increase in the amount of $525,000 from the Small Building Participation Loan Program for a mixed-use project known as the Monroe in Buffalo, Erie County. The additional subsidy will help cover approximately $1.8 million in cost increases experienced by the project since the original HFA award. And if approved, the requested funds will bring the total small building subsidy loan to $1.375 million, which equates to just under $81,000 per unit. So the background here, this project is the adaptive reuse of a historic former automobile dealership on Main Street in Buffalo by a smaller local development team into 17 apartments, affordable at an average of 80% AMI and about 12,000 square feet of commercial space. It originally received board approval in March of 2022 for the initial $850,000 small building subsidy. That came to $50,000 per unit. The total projected development cost at the time of approval was $7.2 million, and the small building award made up about 12% of project sources. So there was a 6-month delay between board approval and the construction closing, and during that time, the final contract price increased by almost $500,000 due to rising labor and materials costs that were kind of typical of that time coming out of COVID. The borrower was able to close the gap at the construction closing through an increase to CPC's loan, additional historic tax credit equity, and additional owner cash equity. Then, unfortunately, after construction began, the project ran into several unforeseen issues that resulted in significant delays and about $670,000 in hard cost overruns. Again, this is a historic adaptive reuse project, so unfortunately not unheard of in these situations. These cost overruns related to removal and cleanup of previously undiscovered underground storage tanks, replacement of a demolition subcontractor due to possible safety issues, foundation issues, unanticipated roof reframing, and increased landlord contribution to build out of the commercial units to get those leased. The extended construction timeline also resulted in significant additional construction interest. Again, we're going on 2.5 years since the construction closing, and other carrying costs that totaled about $488,000. The developers had to cover this additional $1.1 million in cost increases. That's just during the construction period, with additional equity and member loans. So now, after 2.5 years, the project is complete. All apartments and commercial space have been leased, and they're targeting permanent conversion within the next 2 months. And the developer is requesting the $525,000 increase to the small building subsidy to help recoup some of the overage and out-of-pocket outlay. A comparison of the original and final sources and uses is on page 3 of the board memo. And I'll note that with the requested increase, the small building subsidy makes up about 15% of the final development cost. So again, still just really a small portion of the total, and represents about $81,000 per unit. CPC has also arranged to increase its permanent loan at conversion by another $250,000 for a total increase to their perm loan, the senior debt of $700,000 since the original HFA board approval. And this was enabled by higher commercial rents and higher AMIs in the intervening period before they went into lease up that allowed them to rent the apartments. at slightly higher levels, but still, at 80% AMI. With the additional sources, the 525,000 additional small building funds and the additional CPC loan, the owner will still have over 300,000 in additional cash equity into the project at conversion over and above what they had planned for. We believe the requested increase is reasonable and we're recommending approval. Again, this final subsidy amount of 81,000 is well below our current term sheet maximum of 150,000 per unit. So you can see how, that went up between board approval of 50,000 to now as a result of increasing costs across the industry. The developer did work to mitigate their impact by increasing the historic tax credit equity prior to construction closing and obtaining the higher senior loan through CPC and in covering the rest out of pocket. As I mentioned, it is a smaller local developer. The principals are local real estate attorneys and principals of a historic preservation and planning consulting firm. They do have another approved small building project in Buffalo that's expected to close on construction this month, and we really want to support their success. So we are recommending the PLP increase.
Thank you, Burke.
Thank you. Questions?
Okay, I'll note for the record that Ms. McEwen and Ms. Young-Watkins are recusing themselves from this vote. This is before the HFA board resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The
Great.
motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item 11, Middlesex Gardens Apartments in Fredonia, Chautauqua County, and Burke, you are up again.
Yep,
As well as
still
Mike.
me. So this is, and I should note that this is also a SONYMA related item. I don't know if the project titles are different. We're calling it Middlesex Gardens Apartments. That is the name of the complex. It is at 343 Central Avenue, but the items are one and the same. I'm not sure how they're described. So that's why Mike sits there. So this is a request to use $6 million in small building participation loan funds for the substantial rehab and all electric retrofit of a mostly vacant 40-unit low-rise complex in Fredonia, Chautauqua County. The project will result in 16 one-bedroom apartments and 24 two-bedroom units, affordable at no more than 80% AMI, with all utilities included in rent. Initial rents will actually be set at closer to 61% AMI based on the market. 15 of the 40 units are currently occupied, and these residents will receive fully updated units with no more than a 5% increase to existing rents. During construction, they'll be checkerboarded into new units on site while their units are completed and then can move back. The agency's investment here will be coupled with a $2.6 million permanent loan from CPC, which will be SONYMA insured, historic tax credit equity of about $2.2 million and $1.8 million in owner cash equity. The project is also pursuing $1 million in Clean Energy Initiative funds to assist with the full electrification, which will be separately presented for approval at the June 26th HTS. So the property is very well located here. It's just across Central Avenue from the SUNY Fredonia campus and adjacent to a large shopping plaza that with medical, food service, and retail uses. There's also bus service at the shopping plaza that connects to Fredonia and Dunkirk's central downtown districts. This complex really is at the northern edge of Fredonia, just on the other side of the Dunkirk border. A park and nature preserve are also within a half-mile walk. You can see the project map in the board memo. The scope here includes full updating of units, updating the electric and plumbing, new windows, and full electrification of building systems with geothermal heat pumps for heating and cooling and hot water, and enhanced insulation and ventilation. This makes them eligible for the full 25,000 per unit in the CEI incentive. A backup battery system will also be installed to provide power in the event of outages or emergencies. And project amenities here include free off-street covered parking, access to newly installed EV charging stations, on-site laundry, and landscaped green space. And again, all utilities, it's all-inclusive rent, includes all utilities. The developer is a repeat small building program borrower, the principals of Good Carbon Co., which specializes in energy retrofits of this kind in the Western New York region. Of their two prior small building projects, one in Buffalo has completed construction, is currently in lease up, and expects to convert by the end of this year. And the other one in Cambria is about 80% complete, well ahead of schedule. So in summary, this project will fully reactivate a well-located, largely vacant and outdated apartment complex and help advance the state's climate goals, including a 20% reduction in energy use. And it's our first small building project in Chautauqua County, and happy to recommend it for funding.
Thanks, Bert. Michael?
So this project comprises the rehab of 40 all low-income units. There's $6 million in HFA PLP subsidy. There's $1 million HFA Clean Energy Initiative grant. There's $2.2 million in historic tax credits. The loan is $2.6 million. And like Fulton Park Plaza, where the loan was $23 million and there was $22.7 million in historic tax credits, it shows how important historic tax credits are to these projects. The insured loan amount is $64,500 per unit, which equals 19% of the project's, pardon me, total development cost of $340,000 per unit. The project will break even with a 12% vacancy and collection loss, or a 15% increase in pro forma operating expenses. The project will be managed by Good Carbon Community LLC, an affiliate of the developers, which currently manages more than 2,000 units and 300,000 square feet of commercial space. Thank you.
Mike, I just wanted to point out, it says the mortgagee is NICERS, but it's CRF here, is that right? Up at the top. CPC
Yeah,
and
no,
it's,
you,
yeah, CRF.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Anything else? Will?
Okay, this, I'll note for the record that Ms. McEwen has recused herself from this vote. This is before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee only and the HFA full board. Items, resolutions transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the motion is second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Bert. Okay, item 12 is a discussion item, budget amendment for staffing increases. And the presentation today from Betsy Mallow, Executive Deputy Commissioner and COO, and Ted Podest, Chief Financial Officer. Good morning.
Good morning. Before we do the item, how are the new equipment in Syracuse and Buffalo? Good. Shout out to our technology team, to our facilities team who literally drove out there to install it, and to ITS who got it. So I'm glad it's working. And I'm sorry it's taken this long. On the budget amendment. So as you have heard from Ruth Ann, as you've probably read, we're very, very excited that there's over $1.5 billion of new or expanding resources in this state budget that are flowing through to the agency. That's the City of Yes billion plus. That's $100 million of a mixed income revolving loan fund. It's money for, as was previously referenced, for starter home innovation funding. It's money for Mitchell-Lamas and so much more. It's very exciting. It's very impactful. It also drives up the volume of work at the agency. We have, over the past couple of years, as new money has come, tried to absorb these new programs into our current staffing levels, but we're at a breaking point. And so we're coming today, we need additional underwriters, we need lawyers, we need program leads for some of these, and we need some of the support staff. We're coming today to ask for an amendment to the 24-25 budget. As a reminder that we're in the middle of it, it ends on October 31st. We're here to ask for $2 million of additional money for hiring. That translates to roughly 10 FTEs. It's not just salary. As you see, the adjustments are made on all of the other ancillary costs associated with personnel. It'll take the budget from $110.7 to $112.7 million, a slightly under 2% increase. And it'll take our FTE levels from 353 to 363. I will note that we're asking today for 10. When we come back for the budget approval for next year's budget in September, as we've further fleshed out all of the needs for these programs, we are likely to also build in a few additional heads into that budget to try and absorb the great work.
And do you know, like, where within the various agencies these folks will sit? I mean, is it?
They will go on the AHC payroll, as most of our staff are. There's a lot of staff on the SONYMA payroll and a lot of staff on the AHC payroll. Obviously, there's a huge number of staff on the DHCR payroll too, but that's not implicated here. They'll go on the AHC payroll, and then they, as we do with many staff, they get allocated out into the other. The expenses get allocated out.
It's not a lot of money overall, 2%, but I wonder when you get additional money and you get new programs, is there an evaluation of potentially delegating some of it to outside partners, or is it the immediate thought just like, let's continue growing our team to do it? Understanding respectfully that what you do is what you do.
Oh, sure.
It's just, you know, the costs of affordable housing just keep growing and growing and growing, and so one of the things we're thinking a lot about at CPC is efficiency and consolidation, and how do we try and do what we can do on our part, you know, to try to drive some of the costs down. And so I just wondered if it was part of the thinking.
It's included in the thinking. We're surely not going to spend all of this money 100% ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for scale, I'd say it was about $1.5 billion that we'll spend over the next 4 years. So even if we delegate out, it's not sort of an insignificant amount of money for us to sort of manage on all, you know, sort of fronts and hire. So
understood. And the scale of it, I get it. I just was curious.
Yeah, and some of it, as you know, sort of programmatically will sort of auto go like outside the agency because of
things,
right, and some of it will just feed programs that exist already. So it's kind of a hodgepodge when we looked across the different funding sources.
I said 10 doesn't seem very much.
Lean machine.
I always love Joyce's questions around staffing because they're always, can you give more? We're going to start here, and as I said, we're going to evaluate what the need is. We wanted to come with, I mean, we did, by the way, do a very sort of, you know, programmatic line by line, what is the need? And it will likely be more than 10, but we're going to bring 10 as an amendment and to be responsible, and then come back probably within the board, within the standard budget cycle.
Are any of those 10 in conjunction with the list that Sev sends out?
No, those are the ones that Seth sent out are sort of the ones that are currently in progress.
Okay.
You know, in process. So that's to say that they are already within our current budget. So none of those 10, since we haven't gotten approval to increase the capacity, we haven't posted anything related to this.
Okay.
Great,
Thank you.
Hope,
And
did you have
thank
a
you
question?
for looking at those, and please send them out as you get them.
Ted, anything you want to add?
I'm sorry.
No, it's just we haven't come for, we're currently at our fill limit right now with what you see Sev sending out. And the last time we came to the board was 2022. So for increased headcount in dollars, just as an FYI.
Thank you, Will.
This item is before the HFA and the SONYMA boards, a budget amendment for resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just one question, which is kind of certainly related to this, because obviously with the funding that we're talking about, we're looking at hiring new positions, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm wondering what efforts are going to be made going forward to have the employment of personnel for the various agencies, including SONYMA, of course, that are more reflective of the population of New York City and New York State, because that's not what we have right now. And you know, since I've been on the board, I know you have as well, and you continually ask, how are we going to try to address that? And I'm always told we're going to address it, and that's good to know, but we're not seeing that in any real demonstration to date. And I'm wondering what we can do going forward, and I can't expect a full answer right now, of course, but what we can do to go forward so that, you know, a year from now or 2 years from now, when we look out at the various attendees of the staff, it's more reflective, because that's not the case now, and we need to address that.
So I'm not sure that I agree that the
Beg your pardon?
I'm not sure that I agree that the distribution of our staff at the agency isn't, can we do better?
Well,
For
if you
sure.
look to your left and tell me.
Have you walked the halls?
I'm
I-
asking, I'm asking you to look to the
But I'm
left.
not, I'm not here to debate that point.
Okay.
To answer your question around, what are we doing? And listen, if there are ways that the board members believe we could improve our recruitment policies, I'm happy to have that conversation, and I would bring in, obviously, our Sev Morrow, who's the head of HR, and our HR team, who are going to be able to give you even more detail than I can give you. With New York Helps, and with, so that's on the DHCR side, but we have increased attendance at college fairs. We've increased attendance and distribution of our postings. We're doing, as you said, we're trying to get the board engaged in those postings. I mean, we are trying. Can we always, we're doing fellowships. Can we always do better? Absolutely. If there, I would, again, ask for sort of tangible recommendations of how you think we could do that. And I'd be happy to engage in that conversation.
I've said what I needed to say, I think, on the subject, but this is not, we have to do better. We just really have to do better. Okay.
Okay, the motions were carried and the resolutions were adopted.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item, 13, approval of compensation adjustments for senior vice presidents. And the presentation is by our one.
Yes, I'm going to take this one. So you can see item 13, there is a memo in the book. On May 20th, the Department of Budget issued a budget bulletin that directs 3% salary increases to the management confidential employees for fiscal year 2026. These increases per DOB are retroactive to March 27th, 2025. And following our governance committee policies, we seek authorization to implement DOB's budget bulletins increases for the senior officers. So just as a reminder, we only bring to the board the senior officers and the president CEO adjustments. For all the remaining management confidential employees get reported to the governance committee at the December meeting per the governance committee policies. So I present to you these DOB recommended salary increases for the folks that are in the memo in Schedule A. Any questions on that?
Great. Okay, this item is before the HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC boards. Resolution handled in connection with the item. Assuming the motion and second previously recorded, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thank you. Item 14, discussion item, Youth Construct Grant, and the presentation this morning by Tamika Edwards, Director of Compliance. Tamika?
She's here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Up for your consideration today, we have the approval to release the second half of the Youth Construct Grant. In April 2024, the Housing Finance Agency agreed to provide a grant to Youth Construct, a not-for-profit organization based in Harlem, New York, that provides vocational program training for high school juniors and seniors. In the ASED trades, that is architecture, construction, engineering, and development. They are on their fourth cohort at this time, and it is cold in here. And so the program provides job readiness straight out of high school. They graduate with a OSHA certification and a driver's license, so they can work on warehousing and in a construction site, or they graduate with college readiness in the construction degrees. Youth Construct also shared with us that in their 4 cohorts, this is their first time losing a student from the neighborhood to gun violence, which kind of highlights the need to continue to support organizations and programs like this for the youth moving forward. So In addition to the request to release the second half of the grant, I am requesting to increase the allowance for administrative spend from 5% to 10% to cover the increased participation in the program and operational needs.
What's the source of the grant? Sorry.
So the grant is from DECO's MWBE Technical Assistance Fund from our liquidated damages.
Okay. One thing, I know that when I was here at the agency, it was when Wanda was still here, there was also sort of the concept of how do you provide technical assistance in getting folks into into the construction industry, like in the same way that the bond department or the finance department has their and even HPD has their fellows program.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to the extent, obviously, that we're seeing important engagement around getting folks into not just the trades, but also sort of largely into the development community. I think thinking about the concept of a similar program to what they have in the finance department, where people are working with banks and building social capital as well in the industry is really important. So like a graduate, postgraduate kind of thing in the construction industry would be really interesting in the development community as well. So totally separate from this. This is like high school, but just thinking about if there are monies available from these settlements, how can we also be thinking about other ways to come up with new programs to continue to double down on getting more folks opportunity to enter into the business.
That is absolutely one of the things on our hopes and dreams for next year. We're hoping to be able to partner with the CUNY programs to be able to do that as well.
Okay.
Well, what does it take to partner with the CUNY programs? As a chair of a department in a CUNY school, I certainly would support, that.
Yeah.
Would support that. What does it take for that to happen?
I think we need to formalize how we're going to do that internally and then bring the conversation to the CUNY programs that fit within finance and development and construction.
So that takes another year to...
I don't think it will take another year.
It's the same thing I was saying a few minutes ago, and the program that you're talking about is great. Because not everybody goes to college, not everybody goes to grad school, and there have to be opportunities for people who don't want to or don't need to do that. But I'm also speaking about opportunities for people who are going to college and going to grad school and what have you and coming out, and somehow most of them don't wind up in organizations like this one. Okay, and I've been saying this since I came on the board, and I guess I'll be saying it until I go off the board. But it is just important that there be some effort to make that happen. And again, if I look, I can walk through the halls. I've walked through the halls before, and I see what people are doing and what roles they're playing, and the role that you're playing, and the role that many of the people in here are playing is not being played, in any significant extent by people from the so-called minority groups. Okay, and they won't be until there is some affirmative efforts to do so. And so I don't know if there's anything more you can do about it. That with the program that you have right now, I understand hopes and dreams coming up in 2026. And hopefully we'll still have SONYMA will still be legal by then, depending upon what the president and Congress have to say. But we need to do something differently.
Well, I can understand the need to prioritize the use of opportunities like that. I came from an opportunity like that. I was a CUNY student that came through an internship and was hired full time, and Wanda was at my graduation. And I would want to prioritize continuing opportunities like that within the system. And so I think that it is one of my priorities as well.
So if you give us something to support, I certainly will support it here on the board.
Thank you.
Question for you.
Sure.
Mitigating damages right now is still set at 10%?
Jesus. Excuse me.
Still set at 10%?
This wasn't part of my joke series.
Mitigating damages, they're still set at 10%?
The liquidated damages is 10% of the shortfall or the amount assigned in the agreement, the lesser of the two, which is under review as well for improvement in that section as well. We're just waiting for feedback.
Okay. How much of that percentage is used for this particular program, for the grant?
All of it goes towards that fund.
All of it goes towards it?
It goes towards grants and programs like this, sponsorship for MWBE engagement, trade organizations. That's what went towards MBBA, the Metropolitan Black Bar Association, and increasing our visibility and partnerships with other professional services and construction.
What geographic location is the grant focused on right now? Because it's like 15 students.
Yeah, so that grant is based in Harlem, but we are looking to identify other organizations and programs regionally. So we would ideally like to have one in each region.
How long is the program for?
This grant.
The length of the program itself, as far as the training.
So once this grant is over in December 2025, we'll be looking to partner with another organization to continue.
Length of time that you work with the kids.
So
like
this is just for 2 years.
So they come in and they work with the kids over a 2-year period?
There are 2 cohorts within that 2 years. It's just that the calendars are kind of shifted a little funny, so it's hard to answer, but there are 2 cohorts within the 2-year period.
Yeah, I'm asking about as far as like the time, because like on Long Island, like the Longwood School District, we do like a STEM program, and we get the kids when they're in like their sophomore year, eligible in their junior and senior year, so they work with them over a 2-year period for the program itself, and then they graduate them through the program.
No, this is just for the 1 year that they're in that.
1 year that they're there.
Right,
Okay.
and then they'll bring in a new group of students for the next.
Okay, got you. Then the other question is, how do we get you more money?
I like that question.
Now you sound like me.
So while we've been out for MWBE Advocacy Day in the Capitol, and we had an opportunity to meet some of the elected officials, specifically in that Harlem area as well, we've shared what these programs can do, and they've also shared their interest in wanting to be able to participate in this as well. So we're trying to hopefully facilitate those avenues.
Don't we have something coming up on increasing that percentage on damages?
Yeah, the team's working on that.
Okay. Looking to increase that to like 20%, maybe 30%?
So it wouldn't be the percentage, it would actually be the dollar that's the difference of, so.
It's like $1 million or 10% of the total cost.
Right,
Yeah.
or 10% of the shortfall.
Right. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks to me.
Okay, this item is before the HFA board, a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I do have one last piece I wanted to say, sharing my condolences with Youth Construct, bottom line, construction and development, and the families that were affected by the loss of that student. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The motion is carried, the resolution is adopted.
We'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, the next 9 items, items 15 through 23, are consent items. There will be no presentation. The information is in the board materials. So I think we'll move forward.
Well, so we need to do votes.
We need resolutions for this. Can we do them together?
Yeah, so this is, let me just call out the different meetings here. As folks say, these items are before the HFA Audit Committee, the HFA Governance Committee, the SONYMA Governance Committee, and the full HFA Board, and with respect to item 23, the HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC boards. These are consent items. Now, before the previously mentioned boards and committees are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with these consent items, assuming the motion second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried, the resolutions are adopted.
Thank you. Item 24 is a discussion item, Coney Island Phase 3, 1709 Surf Avenue, Brooklyn, Kings County. And the presentation will be by Michael Friedman, Senior Vice President of the Mortgage Insurance Fund.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, he's yeah. We need to table that meeting for one table.
Okay, so let's take out of order, we'll do item 33, the information item, the Department of Empowerment, Compliance, and Opportunity, DECO update. Tamika?
You just get to the bottom.
Because I won't hit those three.
Yeah. Like treaty.
Thanks,
Hello
Tamika.
again.
Hello again.
I'm here to share our departmental update, our monthly update. So for the month of May through June, we are continuing our commitment to the intentional engagement that we've been doing regionally. So we were participants in the NYPA Supplier Diversity Expo in Tarrytown, and we also attended the one in Western New York earlier this year. We were at the MBBA Advocacy Day that I mentioned earlier, where we were able to meet our elected officials who sit on the task force around MWBE in Assembly and Senate. And then we were also actually, we were a sponsor for the New York State Real Estate Chamber's Emerging Leaders in Markets Conference in Harlem, New York last week. That's NIREC for short, if you're more familiar with the acronym. And we had Alexa and Maurice as panelists there to share some of the policy changes and efforts to include diversity within the agency's business as we move forward with the new housing plan or additions to the housing plan. And we had our MWBE working group that met in May to talk about the liquidated damages and move forward with next steps there. So we're just waiting for final approval before we can move forward with that.
Can we get a copy of that
Of the,
request?
sure, for the liquidated damages?
Yes.
Sure. Any questions?
Thank you. Yes, also.
Oh,
What you said.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else?
I noticed in the report there were a lot of waivers in the spreadsheet. I had requested a review for those particular items as far as why they're being waived so much. So if you have time afterwards, or if we can schedule a time to sit down and discuss that separately, because it seems like there's a lot of waivers that are being provided.
In the memo, you saw waivers?
No, in the spreadsheet,
What spreadsheet?
at the bottom of her report, there's like a 3-page spreadsheet that's in there.
What's in the board materials?
Yeah.
Oh. Tamika, which spreadsheet is that? In the DECO report? There's only it's just the 3 pages with all the deals listed and all the, is that what you mean? I didn't.
Page 357.
Yeah, so I guess I would think of it as a chart.
Yeah, it was a spreadsheet that was provided in the workbook.
Because I don't think there are any waivers in what is in the DECO memo, are there, Tamika? No, there's no
Yeah, it was a
waivers.
bunch of
But maybe you're looking at something else?
the information for procurement and stuff, the analysis that was a part of that. There was a spreadsheet that was provided.
Oh, sorry. The quarterly procurement report. Oh, sorry, we would need, okay, sorry. That's just a different document. Let's see,
It's
where
item
is
31.
Thank you. 31.
That's on our professional services side.
Oh, that's in the supplemental. Sorry, I'd have to go back and open that one.
Yeah, it has a listing of all the different companies and contracts. And there are about, I think, 9 or 10 waivers that are in there.
Okay, 1 second. Second quarterly procurement. Okay. We can, So you're in the agency quarterly procurement contract report. I think maybe we could, I don't know, Steve, how you want to handle, but we could take a look at this and certainly circle back. I don't know if we can do on the spot review. I can't even find the chart.
Why don't we come back to it?
In
So
here.
James will
Here, in
review
this
it and bring it
chart.
back.
Yeah, we can look at whatever is on this procurement report that has waivers. I don't know what that, and we can,
It has the breakouts, it has the index symbols plus equal, shows you MBE, WBEs, participations broken out by dollar amount also.
okay, yeah, so let us go back and I have to dig into this and figure out which ones you're asking about, and then we can provide answers to that for sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
Then the other thing is you brought up that Maurice Barrett, the CDO, also went out.
Yes, he did.
So Maurice has been here for 9 months now, roughly.
7?
7 months? 7 months, okay. Can I make a motion that we have Maurice, since we haven't heard from him in those 7 months, just to see where he's at and what he's doing? Could we have that presentation added to next month's agenda?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Tamika. All right,
thank you.
so we're going to go back to item 24. Okay, so item 24, Coney Island Phase 3, 1709 Cirque Avenue, Brooklyn, Kings County. Michael Friedman will make the presentation for this item and for the next two.
Real quick, going back to one of the discussion items, I don't know if there was an appropriate place to sort of say this, but like last month, Kenny Pops, who was our financial advisor, passed away, and sort of, you know, obviously in the investment report section, but he did probably more for SONYMA in terms of squeezing out dollars and helping our resolutions and helping us through, you know, you name the tough time, but also like really helping the agency a tremendous amount on the, tremendous amount going back decades, grew up in public housing, like had a deep passion for affordable housing. And I think, you know, there's a number of HFAs that are honoring him with like statements in their official statement, but I just think it's been, he was such a valuable extension of staff when it came to the SONYMA, and just wanted to recognize that given his importance to the agency. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Noted. It's
Michael?
very sad.
So, Coney Island Phase 3 comprises a $52,850,000, 35-year New York City Housing Development Corporation loan, for which SONYMA will provide 50% insurance, but we earn premium on 100% of the loan amount. It comprises the construction of 420 units and 20,000 square feet of commercial and community space. The 420 units include 65 units of supportive housing for formerly homeless tenants, 214 regular low-income units, and 140 middle-income units at 100% of AMI. And the 65 supportive units will receive New York City 1515 rent subsidies. This is a very highly subsidized project. There's $91 million in HDC sub-debt, $20.8 million in brownfield tax credits, $66 million in federal low-income housing tax credits, $1.2 million a year in New York City 1515 rental subsidies, and a full Article 11 real estate tax abatement. The project is being developed by BFC Partners, which over the past 30 years has built or preserved more than 11,000 units, representing over $4 billion in acquisition and development costs. The insured loan amount is $125,800 per unit and equals 21% of the project's total development cost of $595,600 per unit. So this is an efficient project. The project will break even with a 12% vacancy and collection loss, or a 13% increase in pro forma operating expenses, and will operate with a pro forma 102 income to expense ratio with all of the commercial space vacant. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Michael. Questions? Will?
Okay, this item is before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny Mae Board. Resolution is transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion is second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. Next item, 25, 4312 50th Street, Sunnyside, Queens. Michael?
So this is a $7,986,000 CPC NYSERS loan for the construction of 55 units, including 9 units of supportive housing for formerly homeless tenants. All of the units, virtually all of the units are at less than 100% of AMI. Only one, there's 120% AMI unit. There are 100% units, and the other 33 units are below 100% AMI. This likewise is a heavily subsidized project. There's 27.4 million in HPD subsidy. There's 7.3 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. And there will be 8 project-based Section 8 vouchers. The loan amount, the insured loan amount is $145,200 per unit, which equals 15% of the project's total development cost of $939,000 per unit. So this is a fairly expensive project.
This is one that pushes that magic number of $1 million a unit. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. The project will break even with a 12% vacancy and collection loss, or a 17% increase in pro forma operating expenses. Thank you.
Wow. Thanks.
Okay, this is before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny Mae Board. Resolutions transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
Okay, thank you. Item 26, the MIF project pool insurance account transfers to HTFC and HHAC. Michael?
So the state budget that was recently enacted directs the mortgage insurance fund to transfer a total of $111,686,000 to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation and the Homeless Housing Assistance Corporation from excess balance and then from the project insurance account. The excess balance for the state fiscal year ended December, in March 31st of 25 was $12,957,802. So we're asking the directors today to approve the transfer of $98,728,980 to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation and the Homeless Housing Assistance Corporation.
Thanks, Michael. Questions? Will?
Okay, this item is before the Sunny Mae Board. Resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, the next, let's see, items 27 through 32 and items 34 and 35 are information items. So the information is in the board packet. There will be no presentation unless requested. Well,
We will now take the legal steps to adjourn the meeting, assuming the motion and second previously recorded. All in favor of adjourning the meetings, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The resolution is adopted.
great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Congrats, Steve. First Sunny May meeting.
There you go.